Geography. What is it? Why do we use it? And what benefits does it have? Today we are going to look at all of these things. Now, according to the Oxford Dictionary, the definition for geography is the study of physical features of the Earth and its atmosphere, and of human activity as it affects and is affected by these, including the distribution of populations and resources, land use, and industries. Seems pretty decent. You know, geography is a lot more than just physical features or maps, but maps are more like cartography, not really geography, but they revolve around the same thing. You got geography, all the physical types all over the planet, like mountains, rivers, lakes, deserts. But then there's also human geography, urban geography, political geography. There is a lot of different aspects into which geography can tie into. And today, we are going to look at a little bit of each and every type of geography. So let's dive into it, starting with physical geography. Now, physical geography is probably the type of geography you think of when you think of geography. Like the physical features of the Earth. You can have deserts, mountains, forests, tundras, valleys, sand dunes, canyons, lakes, rivers, oceans. A lot of physical features. Let's look at California, for example. California, you've got mountains, you've got deserts, you've got lakes, you got valleys, you got forests, you got lots of different trees, you got pines, oaks, palms. There's a lot of physical types of features in the state of California and many ecosystems. Let's take a look at the map of California and explore some of these areas. Okay, so looking at the map of California, we can see we got the Central Valley region. We got mountain ranges, the main one east of the Central Valley, and it goes down for the majority of the state. We got smaller coastal ranges on the western part of the state. In the southeastern United States, we definitely got a lot of desert area, which includes 2 national parks, Death Valley and Joshua Tree National Parks. Up towards kind of the eastern central California, we got Yosemite National Park in the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Yosemite National Park was formed by like a mix of uplift from like being on a fault line, as well as like glacial erosion over a long time. Most of the glaciers, if not all, are almost completely melted from the higher peak areas in the park, but there are still a few small ones left, but I don't think they will be around that much longer. Down in the southwest, we got more desert area, including Joshua Tree National Park. Joshua Tree, of course, was named after the Joshua Tree, and some facts about that right now. Okay, after some brief research on my part, Joshua trees seem to be mostly confined to the Mojave Desert, but can be found in multiple states in the southwest USA, including California, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. Interesting, according to the National Park Service page, Some of the tallest ones in the park grow up to 40 feet tall. I had no idea they could get that tall. I always thought they were like around maybe anywhere from like 5 to 15 feet. I didn't realize they could get that tall. That's pretty cool. Also, apparently, unlike trees which have rings, they don't. So researchers have to estimate their age based on like growth rate. Give an estimate of the age. It's an interesting specimen. I've been to Joshua Tree once back in 2016. It was pretty cool. Yeah. And moving on to Death Valley National Park right now. It has the lowest point elevation-wise in the United States at like negative 280 feet. And surprisingly, the highest point in the lower 48 states, or the continental, is close by Mount Whitney, which is at like 14,500 feet. So those two being fairly close together is pretty cool. The family and I stayed in Lone Pine, California, which is like kind of at the base of Mount Whitney and the Sierra Nevada section in that area. So yeah, that's definitely something. I'll show it on a map right here or something. Okay, I'm trying to keep this video kind of just like a brief overview. So let's move on to a very brief summary about human and political geography. Okay, according to the Oxford Dictionary definition, human geography is the branch of geography dealing with how human activities affect or is influenced by the Earth's surface. So pretty much how us humans interact with the Earth and its climate. Like, do we move here because there's water, rivers, lakes, or stuff? Or do we move out of here because it's too hot or too cold? Or how do we affect the geography by like mining or industry or, hate to say it, but like nuclear weapon tests or nuclear meltdowns, then there's radiation, which makes the area like unlivable. It's pretty much how humans are influenced by or influence the ecosystem or climate or physical aspects of an area. So yeah, pretty much what that definition says, to keep it in the low point. Like, why do humans migrate? Could be because of the geography or because of what we did to the area. Then, we hunted a animal to an extinction and the ecosystems collapsed. So now people need to move somewhere else for a new food source. Or a volcano destroyed the landscape and now we need to move away from there. So that's kind of a very simplistic or the short answer. If you guys like this video, maybe we can dive into a more complex version of this video. We can dive deeper into the physical, the human, and the political. And speaking of political, let's do political real quick, a real brief summary. So for political geography, the Oxford definition, using the Oxford Dictionary for these definitions on Google. But its definition for political geography is the branch of geography that deals with boundaries, divisions, and possessions of countries. So, kind of what it sounds like. Human-made lines in the dirt and terrain. Political boundaries, borders between countries, divisions, what countries own, which place and which place, like which area and all that. It can dive even more into politics when you start talking about like gerrymandering and stuff. let me give you the definition for that real quick. Here you go. Gerrymander. Manipulate the boundaries of an electoral constituency. So pretty much their meaning to manipulate the boundary maps to favor one class or political party, especially when it comes to voting. You know, you like draw a line a certain way to include as many voters for your political party in that area to increase your odds of winning an election. So that can definitely be one way people try to manipulate the system, I guess. And finally, let's look at urban geography. My final research when I was at college, it revolved around urban geography, kind of. It wasn't urban geography, it was urban forestry, which was like, you know, trees and vegetation, but mostly trees in like the urban or city environment, and why they are good for that. But here we go, according to wow, there's no Oxford definition for urban geography, so we are going to use the well, all these are pretty decent. The College of DuPage Digital Press says urban geography is the study of cities. Geographers examine factors that led to the location and relative size of cities, and also the complex processes that shape and nature the individual urban areas. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. How the city is formed, how it is built, how it interacts with the physical environment, and all of that. Yeah, you know, you got different cities, like I'm pretty sure San Francisco and Seattle are both pretty hilly in that regard, so you got to figure out how you're going to build a city with all the hills and everything. You got to factor in cities like Miami, the low elevation, plus hurricanes. They have to build a bunch of like seawalls to protect the buildings from storm surge, you know, waves and all that. Yeah, we could definitely dive more into urban geography if you guys want to see an episode on that. But this was all just a very brief overview of the different types of geography. Anyway, I know this video was very rough. It wasn't super professional. I added a few pictures in here and there and gave you a very brief coverage of geography. You can see it's a lot more complex than just mountains and deserts or physical features on a map. You got the physical part, the human part, the political part, the urban part. And then you can factor in weather and climate, like meteorology, and how the climate affects geography or humans or cities. Yeah, rain, snow, sleet, heat waves, snowstorms, blizzards, hurricanes, tornadoes, all of that weather-related phenomenon. There we go. Anyway, thanks for watching the episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Peak Geography. Might as well call it that, since the channel name is Blizzard Peak. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I'm not a great teacher. Anyway, take care. God bless. And I will see you all in the next video. I guess I forgot to kind of mention, why would we use geography, or why is it useful? Well, for one, it's useful for making maps, understanding the environment, good for analyzing ecosystems or understanding terrain or just kind of how the world works in the physical sense. So I think that the study of geography has many benefits. I don't know. Just my quick take on it.